What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Worky Wednesdays. I'm your host, Jesse, and I'm here with...
George Lair. And you know what? We have a very special guest for you today. We have the amazing, wonderful Carmen Danches who's here. And so glad to have you on board.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here with both of you tonight.
Carmen. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Awesome
for
to have
me,
you here.
Jesse.
Yeah, please don't mind the mess.
I didn't even notice.
All right, good deal. Yeah, so George, good to see you. Carmen, great to see you.
See you.
It's Happy New Year now.
It is Happy New Year, brother.
Oh.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Happy New Year to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and
This is
Happy New Year to
exciting.
you too. Did you do anything exciting for the New Year?
I actually spent New Year's Eve with my son at our church. We had a New Year's Eve gala.
Oh, okay.
That
Very
was
cool.
that was great. No alcohol. It was dry.
And you actually stayed there for the ball drop.
did.
Very
We
cool.
did.
I honestly did not know that was even a thing. So that's really cool.
It is. A lot of churches do that.
Huh.
Most of them don't really drink that like that.
Sure.
And it's a time where you can like welcome the new year in the presence of the Lord and with your family and extended church family. So it was a great way to
Really cool.
start the new year.
Wow, that is really cool. That's amazing that you've said that. You know, maybe I'll take that into perspective or consideration one day moving forward to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
And, you
really
know,
cool.
No better perspective than to just be here amongst friends and, putting out so much positivity
Oh,
into
100%.
the world.
Yeah.
And seeing everybody else's perspective, as far as life, as far as career changes, as far as just
New me, new you, right?
yeah, exactly.
That's what it's about. What about you, man? You stay low this year? You go out and party on hit the nightlife or what?
So I went ahead and when the clock struck midnight, I was out. I was
Cold.
out.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
I was out.
We don't want to know what.
Yeah. I actually, we were here. We stayed local.
Very nice.
We offered the kids to be, designated drivers. We went out to dinner, but then, just came back home and laid low. Spent the night with the dogs.
That's
Anytime
really
there's
nice.
fireworks or anything, the dogs start going nuts. So especially, he just went upstairs. Especially the big guy.
Yeah.
He's sound frightens him. So
Where did they have fireworks?
I think
that.
people just in the neighborhood just shooting
Yeah.
off fireworks, celebratory fireworks, whatever. But so it was fun. It was laid back. No drinking, so I was up extra early on the first. And the fact that it was on a Wednesday, it kind of like, you kind of had that sense of how to get right back up and work right away on Thursday morning. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a weekend or anything like that. So
No, not at all.
yeah.
We went back to work on Thursday, and I felt like it was Monday
Right?
all day long. I was
Yeah.
so confused.
Yeah. So it was like a short week. So that was kind of cool, though.
Yeah.
But so nonetheless, here we are. It's a new year. It's a new us. And George is focusing on this TV. I'm going to end up turning this TV off.
His attention span is very short.
Squirrel.
Yeah. I know you have some big goals. You and I talked a little bit about your goals moving forward into 2025.
You know what? I am very blessed to be in a position in which I'm in. And yes, I've been doing a really decent job at continuing to focus on those goals. And I see a nice change after a conversation that you and I have had. I'm focusing a lot on my social media.
I've seen that. You've seen that, right?
I have. He's doing a really good job
Yeah.
with that.
And that was after a nice conversation that you and I had. Several conversations that you and I have had.
A hidden talent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But, this is really not about me. Tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to make this conversation mainly about you, Carmen, because you
Wow.
are an inspiration to so many people. You have done so many great things, and you're an icon in the community.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
do a lot.
Yeah, right. And jumping
I'm
right into that.
flattered
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
like
No, it's-
humbled to
yeah.
hear that.
So jumping right into that, Carmen, it looks as if you have navigated into a new career path. And is 2024?
Yeah, 2024 into.
So you haven't been there a year yet, right?
No, 2024 was my first calendar year from January to December, but I actually started in September of 2023.
Gotcha. And everything going smooth now. So now you have a full year behind you. Now you know what to expect going into 2025. I'd love to find a little bit about your first full year in the industry. It was actually, you didn't make an industry change, right? You just did a lateral move.
So this was sort of my second really big move career-wise as an adult, because my first one was going into real estate altogether.
Okay.
I was in the beauty industry for many, many years, over 10 years, 12. And then I transitioned sort of by chance into title when I was 38.
Okay.
37 into 38, I want to say. And I went in not having an idea, not a clue as to what I was going into, even though I had already owned 3 homes by that time.
Right.
But real estate has changed my life.
Right.
Completely.
Interesting.
In a good way.
Yeah. And not to go off topic, but given the circumstances of the state of the economy, has the move or the real estate industry, throughout the last couple of years, has that been impactful for you or? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And in a way, so when I first started back in 2023, I started at almost the worst time.
Okay. Right.
In real estate, because the interest rates were through the roof. They were in the 7%. So trying to be, navigating through being a brand new loan officer and dealing with almost the worst time in the economy, it was good and bad, right? Because if you can get through that and do well, then it's
only good
smooth
things to
sailing
come.
now.
Right.
You know, times are not great, but they're getting better.
Right.
So if I was able to sell it back then when things were crazy,
yes,
and I was a beginner, now it's well, this is what it is. And, I'm able to keep people calm and keep them buying homes without focusing on the negative.
Awesome. Very cool.
One of the things that I would say that as a friend, I've noticed, and I'm talking from the heart, right? You've done a great deal of you and I have had a lot of conversations. You've helped change the way that I look at some things in life, and I can see you doing the same thing for people that are out there in the community who are getting a mortgage, right? I have not had the opportunity to listen to you talk to one of your clients, one of your prospects, but just going back, let's say a little bit over a year ago when you first started, you had a great following right from the get-go, and the fact that you are bilingual, you were able to actually reach a lot more people out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
99% of my buyers, 99.6% of my buyers are Spanish speaking who don't really speak English at all.
Very cool.
And, going back to where I started with this conversation is the fact that you're able to build rapport and help people feel very comfortable through the process. I know that people feel very comfortable opening up to you, talking to you.
That's a great talent to have, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's just...
Well, George is really the master of that. And I will say, even though he says he hasn't had an opportunity to hear me speak with my prospects, the majority, I want to say, of my closings were also done with his title company.
Okay.
A lot of the agents who do business with me also use George for title. And this was a huge year for him. I'm really proud of him for starting, taking a leap of faith and starting his own company. And I mean, that took a lot. It took a lot of guts, because I'm not the only one sitting here tonight who, decided to make a lateral move. He did too.
Yeah. So
in the last year.
It's really cool that you bring that up. So actually, yeah, you jumped. You jumped off into the never and made an absolute.
You want to hear what's weird?
Sure.
I am actually between the two people who really helped me through it.
Awesome.
Really, I'm getting all choked up and teary-eyed because as I'm sitting here, Excuse me. Oh man, I'm getting all choked up. It was a couple of it was a lot of conversations that Carmen and I had that helped me open up my eyes to transitioning to where I am today. But when I finally decided to pull the plug, it was you that I came to and said, "Hey, Jesse."
That was a fun conversation.
We had this conversation not too long ago, too.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Just
yeah.
kind of rehashing everything that happened. But wow, man,
Yeah.
I'm
What a
getting
ride,
little
right?
emotional.
Yeah.
It has been a great year. It's been an emotional year. Being a business owner is not always fun. Especially when you're first starting out. There is you have to learn to humble yourself.
Of course.
It's a little bit of a change of life, a change of pace. There's nights where you're having peanut butter and jelly instead of the usual.
Because the employees have to eat, right? At the end of the day, the employees have to eat
Right.
first. When
And then
you're
finding the right employee.
Sure.
I'm very blessed now to have found one person who's very responsible in everything that she does. And I had to go through a couple of people.
sure.
But now I'm actually at a place where
gotta-
I can go anywhere. I could continue to focus on growth because I know that I have someone who's going to take care of everything.
delegate. At the end of the day, you delegate. As a
Right.
business owner, it's about growth. You have priorities. You delegate, and you keep moving forward.
Truth.
That's awesome to hear, man.
But it's nice to be here between
Yeah.
both of you,
Yeah,
and my two biggest supporters and people who I personally admire most.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome,
Proud of
man.
you.
Yeah, definitely proud of you, George.
Thanks, guys.
I'm
But this
curious.
is all about Carmen. Though.
Yeah. I'm curious. All right, you can stop talking. No, I'm curious, Carmen. So with George making such a drastic lateral business move and a career move at his stage in life, surely did that have some sort of impact? Being how close of a friendship that the two of you have, was that something that you looked at his journey and said, all right, he did it, I can do it, or
Well,
No,
it was the other way around.
Okay.
So
Oh my
George
God,
and I
yeah.
were partners.
Yeah.
We worked together at the title company. We know where. And they're still great. I still have a great
Great
relationship
people.
with them.
Absolutely.
100%.
I have
Yep.
a lot of respect for them.
Yeah, as do I.
But I noticed that as the market was changing and as things were changing, I was no longer growing.
Gotcha.
I wasn't helping as many people as I wanted to help. It wasn't that I didn't make an impact, right? Like I loved what I did.
Right.
And I loved working with all the people that I worked with, but I started to feel stagnant. And I had to have
Yeah.
one of those hard conversations with myself. Like, okay, so I make good money and I could stay here, but am I going to be happy? And am I going to be helping everyone that I want to help?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, for me, it's about people.
Sure.
So I decided that I was going to either become a realtor or a lender.
Right.
And as I kind of put everything on a balance, I was like, really, as a realtor, it's not going to work out for me because I want to continue to work with the realtors that I
Right.
developed relationships
Sure.
with. And as a lender, I had more options. And essentially, even though I'm part of a team, I work for me. I decide
Of course.
how hard I'm going to work, how many deals I want to close, and what I'm going to do to work towards that. So I left, First United at the end of July.
Yeah.
And I got licensed in August, and I started beginning of September, and George stayed behind.
Yeah, it wasn't until October 30th that I decided to jump ship. It was 2 days prior to, maybe it was the 29th, 2 days prior to the end of the month. It was a Friday.
Yeah.
It was a weekend.
I remember now.
And, the next Monday
Yeah.
came and
And there you are. That's it.
and there I was.
You know, I'm fascinated by the courage that both of you have had. You know,
That was a lot of sleepless nights for me.
I could imagine so.
Right.
And being such
Did I make the right move? Did
a
I
very
do the right
reputable
thing?
company that you both worked for.
Absolutely.
Very reputable, very good
Well, that was
company.
that was what made it really hard, right? Is because I had I had a very close friendship with Victor, who's one of the two brothers who owned the company, and I knew that if I made this big change, that things might not be the same going forward. Right?
It was a different experience for me than it was for George, though, because I was completely moving out of the realm of title,
Gotcha. Yeah.
even though I was staying within real estate.
Yes.
So I knew that I wasn't not burning bridges, but like I wasn't becoming their competition.
Sure.
Like I knew that I would still see them. I knew that I would work with them, and the leaving wasn't the scariest part. It was leaving the comfort of a salary
Yeah.
and going 100% commission
Which-
when I'm a single mom.
Yeah.
I'm a real estate investor.
Right.
I have all these responsibilities, and now
Man.
it's a brand new career.
Yes.
Even though I had some knowledge behind me, right? But going from security, which is salary, to endless possibilities, but failure was involved.
Yeah.
That was the most scary part, the biggest thing for me.
Absolutely. Which and it's a great segue into this next topic. So you mentioned about being a single mom. So I would love to understand some of the challenges and the rewards that you've experienced switching careers, especially as a single mother. I mean, surely the rewards, the
great question,
challenges.
Jesse.
You mentioned the word failure popped up there. I mean, it's got to be drastic.
Well, I think that with anything, right, when you want to be successful, you have to have a why. And for me, my children are always the reason why. Always the reason why I want to be better. Always the reason why I want to be successful. Always the reason why I want to be viewed as a role model, or and the reason why I don't want to fail, right, is them. So being a single mom kind of makes it that much harder for everyone, and a single parent, right? Because for a long time I would say, being a single mom, but there are plenty of single dads out there too.
Sure.
And it's hard for them too.
Right.
It may be easier for men than women in certain aspects, but overall being a single parent is really difficult. And we always want to do our best for our children.
That's funny you mention that because Jesse and I go way back, and when we first met, I was raising my daughter on my own, but Jesse was also raising his son on his own.
Yeah.
Jesse Jr. So, and they lived over at what we always called the Rock. And I thought it was the coolest thing, man. You got dad and son, and you got this bachelor pad where they played sports. They had a big yard. They would go outside and throw a football back and forth. And he made it look cool, right? He'd go to all his wrestling matches and all kinds of football scrimmages, so on and so forth. And then I found that it was difficult being a girl dad, right?
It's difficult being a girl dad and a girl mom.
Yeah.
Because
I'm just going to throw that out
So.
there.
Yeah.
I found myself, on my computer Googling questions she would ask me, like about, it's that time of the month. It's the first time.
Yeah,
She was scared, and she's asking me questions, and I'm like, I don't know the answer to that. And my mother was in the Dominican Republic, and her mother, well, that's a different story, right? But nevertheless, so I think everybody's experience of being a single parent is a little bit different than
Of course.
others,
Right. 100%.
Because, Jesse.
It's not about
Jesse
me.
Jr.
Yeah, this isn't. Yeah. All right,
me
let's get back on track
with
here.
a girl, and then you with
Yeah.
two kids,
Yeah.
right? Makes like
Yeah.
all experiences
Yeah.
just But the love, knowing Jesse, knowing you, that you actually share with your children, it's just an amazing thing.
Yeah. Carmen, I'm curious when the transition, when you knew the transition was about to happen. So surely that had to be a challenging time because obviously all of these built up emotions are popping up. You're in a stable position, but now your mind's playing tricks on you. You want growth. Your personal goals are starting to overpower what's happening in reality. And I'm curious to so was it a difficult transition and preparing for that transition when you moved out of that comfort zone?
So I will tell you, the first one was probably harder. And, when I was in the beauty industry, I was also working commission. But I knew what I was doing. And I knew different avenues, right, to make more money here, make more money there. I was going into a completely different field than what I had known since my divorce.
Yes. So you're saying, so you're actually able to leverage some skills that you've acquired in the beauty industry moving forward into a completely new industry.
So the one skill that has carried me through is I care for people.
That you do.
In the beauty industry, I dealt with people. And I created amazing relationships there. And even though I didn't know how to even explain title when I went into title,
Sure.
I knew that I know people and I understand people and I know how to relate to people. And ultimately, in my heart, I want what's best for the clients that I deal with.
Right.
So I kind of relied on that. And I took a leap of faith, and it was the best thing that I could have ever done.
That's awesome.
I'm not going to lie, I have an amazing family. My sister, I lived with her. I went into title a year and a half before the pandemic. So, and I learned within a short period of time that I had the ability to build a new home when I had gone through a foreclosure during my divorce.
Wow.
So that was also part of my motivation.
Sure.
And I was able to do that again for my children, but with the help of an incredible sister who's I can't say enough how much I love her. My sister and my brother, they're my best friends.
That's awesome. So you have a great support system.
I had an amazing support system, which made the transition very easy for me. But the difference back then was that I started making really good money right away because that was when the market was amazing. Interest rates were super low. Everybody was buying. And in no time, I was making six figures. I'd never seen that before. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What's happening? But I'm glad that I never got comfortable with the money.
Yes.
I kept my focus on the people and the relationships. And that's why, even though I was making good money for a single mom and for an entrepreneur, when I started to feel stagnant, I knew that it was time to make moves that were going to be scary again.
Sure.
And I couldn't be happier that I did that.
Yeah.
And it was scary.
Yeah.
It was really scary.
Yeah. We can relate to that. And it's funny, George, hearing some of these key phrases and key words
for sure,
that we talk about often. So Carmen, you talk about being a single mother. You're a career woman. So let's dive a little bit into balancing career and parenting along with personal growth, right?
I am absolutely terrible at it.
Well,
that's the truth. So, I don't even want to try and make it seem like, yes, I have it all together. It's great with my kids. I have teenagers. I have an 18-year-old daughter and I have a 16-year-old son. I have a good relationship with my daughter. Half the time she hates me. The other time, I know that she admires me, and I know that the day will come soon enough where she'll look at me and say, damn, my mom was a badass boss, but we're not 100% there yet.
Right.
And a lot of times I feel guilty because I work too much.
Great
But
point.
I also provide for them and they don't lack anything. And my son is an athlete and I still make it to the majority of his games.
Cool.
When I miss one, I feel guilty. But then, he looks at me and he's like, it's okay, Mom. And when we're able to go on vacation or he says, can I have this? Or I need this for sports and I can provide that without the help of a spouse or a
Sure.
significant other. That's where I find the balance.
Right.
Like, yes, I have to work hard. I'm not an absent mom. I'm not an absent parent. I wish that I could do it all. But the reality is that that's not real.
Right.
We cannot do it all at 100%.
Sure. Right.
I do my best. And I think up until now, like, my best has been good enough.
That's amazing to hear. And I'm envisioning as you're going through this, an athlete son and an 18-year-old daughter. I'm envisioning you juggling everything with your eyes closed, standing on one leg on a unicycle or something like that.
Rubbing her belly.
Yeah, like that's got to be very, very difficult, but you're making it work. You said you're making it work.
Listen, I make it work because we're here, right? By the grace of God. But I've had nights that, like, my kids have been away for the entire weekend with their dad, and they come home. And in my head, I'm like, I'm planning what I'm going to do with them when they come back.
Sure.
I'm like, we're going to watch movies, and, like, we're going to do dinner together. And then they come back, and, like, I have a lot of work to do.
Right.
And instead of watching a movie with them, I'm working until I fall asleep with my laptop on my lap,
Right.
In bed.
Which so perhaps, I mean, it goes right into the next segue. Like, I would love to hear some sort of tips or advice in terms of, like, time management, setting boundaries and at the same time while prioritizing self-care. You're making it work. I mean, so do you have a strict or set system, scheduling and everything? Like, how are you making it work?
So yes and no. That's the answer, right?
Fantastic
Over the last year, I set time to go to church every Sunday.
Okay.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Wow.
And I go with my family. And ironically, today is Wednesday. On Wednesdays, I also do, like, the midweek break where I go to church. And, we do connect groups we split up all the women together, all the youth together, all the men together. Today, I didn't make it because my assistant has been sick all week.
Okay.
And the bulk of my job has fallen all on me. And when I have days like today, I cut myself some slack.
Yeah.
You have to.
It happens.
You have to like have grace with yourself, because if you don't, I would spend more time feeling guilty about what's not getting done than being proud that I'm accomplishing so much.
So how do you cope with this pressure? Like, you're getting hit from all angles. Surely you have to find some time to relax. You're getting hit from all angles. The pressure's there. What are you doing to relieve some of the stress?
Aside from prayer, I travel.
Okay.
I travel a lot during the year. I do my best to every 8 to 10 weeks,
Okay.
even if it's for a weekend, even if it's to Georgia or Florida or anywhere that's outside of the four walls of the Lehigh Valley. I'm blessed with the ability to work from anywhere that I can have Wi-Fi.
That's awesome. That's
So
really cool.
I do my best to get out of the Lehigh Valley often, because if I don't, I will lose my mind.
Right. Yeah.
It's a very high pressure career, and being a mom also adds pressure.
Yeah.
So even getting away from my kids is good.
Yeah.
Like, where on the weekend when they're with their dad, I'm like, Thursday night I leave, and I will be back on Monday morning by 8:30. Self-care and my mental health. Like, I go to a therapist. I see a counselor.
Oh.
Not because I'm crazy, but because it's a lot of pressure.
Crazy to do that. I think it's important to actually have that
that's-
mental health.
You have to
Absolutely.
take care of your mental health.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And I was thinking that you'd actually mention a little bit about your shop therapy.
Actually, I've gotten a lot better about shop therapy.
Yeah, okay.
Before I started going to counseling, I used to not spend frivolously, but
Pretty
when
close.
I was, no, not even, because, if you're spending your rent money or your mortgage or, what you should be investing, then I would say that would be spending frivolously. But
Right.
I never was the type to spend the money that I needed for my responsibilities for my own pleasure. But I would spend savings that I could have just kept there, on a little something to make myself feel better, like a picker upper. Now I don't do that. Therapy is really a great thing for everyone. I can't say that enough.
Yeah.
Because being a parent is hard. Being a professional is hard.
Yeah.
As much as we love people, dealing with people, and even with the issues that they come to you for counseling with, if you don't have your own counsel and your own place to go where you can relieve that, then you're not going to be wholesome for the people who need you.
Wow.
Interesting.
Very
Yeah.
well said.
Powerful.
That's very true.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I think we all need to have someone to talk to, whether it's on a business sense, right? Whether it's coaching, whether it's therapy, whatever the
Religion.
case might be. Religion.
Religion, yeah.
Religion is so important. Not religion in itself, but
Sure.
believing in God, having that higher power that actually that you could pray to.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's a very important thing. But no, just having some sort of guidance in life. I think it's such an amazing thing. And I love that about you. I love that you do. I love that not only do you have God, right, but you have someone that you could actually talk to and guide you because, even though we're smart, somebody could give us their own view on how we should do things and give us different ideas, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
Well, my therapy is very God-centered.
Sure.
Oh,
My
I love
therapist is very, she's
Yeah.
a pastor, and
Which is awesome. Yeah. I was going to touch into religion, but I mean, you've already answered that. Obviously, so therapy and religion both kind of do the same thing. They can set you, put you at peace, give you that peace of mind, relieve some stress. I guess speaking to somebody, especially with a religious background, like a pastor. I mean, do I use the word killing two birds with one stone terminology for this specific thing? I mean, literally, you're doing that, right?
Yeah.
So, and it seems like you have a strict routine or schedule in terms of going to church, weekly or biweekly. So,
every week.
yeah. So it seems like you're really focused on your mental health, and that's a great release for any type of stress that you're having throughout the week.
beautiful thing.
That is a beautiful thing. So really cool.
Not many of us do that. I think it's one thing that we
I could
all
certainly
too.
do more of that.
Yeah.
100%.
It's hard on Sunday. Listen, when you've had a whole week of work, family, stresses, on Sunday, it's very tempting to stay in bed
I bet.
Yeah.
and sleep in.
Bet,
Wake
yeah.
up just to make eggs and bacon. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
I bet,
it's
yeah.
very tempting, but I think it goes hand in hand with the discipline
Sure, and you're
that
professional.
it requires in your
Right.
profession, where sometimes your body doesn't want to align,
Right.
but you push yourself.
And I think, Carmen, I think at this stage, with being a professional, you're ready. You have that routine lifestyle. So I would imagine, just through our conversations right now, that just in general, you're going to do it. It's part of your life. It's part of your routine. Sunday, you're getting up, you're doing it. So
What do you
that's
consider
really
sleeping in?
cool. Yeah.
I'm curious.
For me,
Yeah, sleeping in. What, 6 o'clock in the morning? Is that sleeping in?
maybe 8 o'clock.
That'll be sleeping in.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Jesse? Because you're always on the go.
I don't sleep. My sleeping in, brother, is 6:30 a.m.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm an early bird, man.
Yeah.
For me personally, I love a long day, right?
Right.
Me
So if
too.
I wake up early and I get my things out of the way. I start my day fresh. I like to be clearly and mentally focused come 7 o'clock, 7:30,
Yeah.
8 o'clock. I want to be focused. I want all of my other my focus and my workouts and stuff out of the way. So 8 o'clock comes, I'm ready to tackle the day.
Well, that's why I say sleeping in, right? Because that's when you like let yourself go. But I don't even use an alarm clock, and I'm up by 5:30 every day.
Awesome.
I
I'm
have
with
an
you.
alarm.
I'm with you.
5:30.
Same thing.
I have an
Exactly.
alarm set for 6:30 every morning. What time do you think I wake up?
5:30.
Okay, 5 o'clock.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 a.m.
So
But
it's
between 5
it's
a.m.
really cool.
and like 5:02.
And if I could add just a little bit to this conversation for the viewers, these are the type of people that, I choose to surround myself with, and I encourage kids to surround yourself with people that you want to be like.
It's important.
Other friends, if I ever give any advice, I don't give much advice at all, but if I was to ever give any advice, I would say, surround yourself with like-minded people, people that you want to be like, professional people. I don't ever remember the last time I was in the same room with people that get up the same time as I do, ever. So it's really cool hearing that that there's other people that are like you out there and that have the same mindset and the same goals. So
I'm a terrible, terrible sleeper. I don't know that just for that reason, I could tell you it would be really hard for me to get remarried because I don't know that anybody would be able to stand my sleep patterns. Like I don't sleep straight through the night. I'm awake. I'm back to sleep, and if I leave things pending for the next day, like if I don't complete them, it doesn't let me sleep. I'm up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I'm like on my laptop trying to finish up. So even for that, I could tell you it's great, but it's also detrimental if like you're hoping
Sure, right.
to like someday find somebody who could deal with you.
Like somebody that George and I have always looked up to, our good old leader, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he says, sleep faster. You get up, for those that constantly have things going on, goals and schedules and everything else, you sleep faster, get up and do it all over again.
That's it.
So, Carmen, so you're obviously a very strong and independent woman, right? Love hearing it, love seeing it. So I would love to hear your perspective on what the importance is of being a role model, not only for your kids, but for other females within your community and your industry.
Oh.
So I think for a very long time for me, I was focusing so hard on being a role model for my children that I didn't realize that's the hardest people to like convince, attract.
Well
and
said. Well
you
said.
know, I think the time will come for my children to view me as a human and as a woman and as a leader. For now, I'm mom, and they just focus on all the things that I'm not doing that doesn't make them, that makes them unhappy. So as a community leader, I think it becomes easier. The task, I deprive myself of a lot of things that certain people do that they just carelessly live a certain way. I don't have a lot of places that I can go where like people don't know me, which is not great, but it is because it keeps me on check.
Sure.
I do like to give back to my community. I have really great friends in government that I do a lot with, like my good friend Cynthia Mota. She's, the president of City Council for Allentown, and she's going to be running for mayor soon. I do a lot with her in terms of like community outreach. And even with my church, I go to a very large congregation. We have over 400 members.
Wow.
I recently found out this year that I love to spread the gospel outside of the United States.
That's beautiful.
I went on my first missions trip to Africa in November. That changed my life.
I could imagine.
Every single time we make a big move, we feel like our life changes. But when you go outside of everything that you know, and I come
Comfort
from a
zone.
third world country.
Right.
I'm Dominican, it's not a very rich country. But this was different.
It's one of the richest countries in the Caribbean. And,
The Dominican Republic?
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
it's still a third world country where children don't have much. That's all I mean. Like, right. I know we have a lot of beautiful beaches, a lot of resorts, a lot of rich areas when it comes to tourism. Mm-hmm. But Africa.
Yeah.
Africa.
Sure.
Is different.
Right.
It changed.
Tell us about it. Tell us a little bit about it.
So, we, because it was a group of 10 of us. Okay. And we prepared with.
And this was through the church then?
With our church, with my church and Convoy of Hope. Mm-hmm. So we teamed up with Convoy of Hope. Okay. Which they're an amazing organization. For months, we prayed together, we fasted, we, prepared as to what to wear and what to say and who we were going to be reaching. And we were nervously excited. And interestingly enough, everyone who knew we were going, they were like, you're going to be so blessed. Like, you're going to bless people and, you're going to see how you're going to impact them. And that wasn't the case. Like, they blessed us. Wow. In so many ways. You go to a country where people work to live. They don't live to work.
Interesting.
That's not the case here in the United States.
Of course, right.
We live in a country where technology is everything. Right. So you talk to people and even right now, George is looking at his phone, right?
Well, I'm looking at my phone. Not to I'm looking at my phone because, and I'll say this, I'm a little offended because I'm also from the Dominican Republic, and I know for a fact that the Dominican Republic is more of a middle class income developing.
Oh no, I said tourism is a great thing and it's gotten better.
And there's different areas, right? There's I imagine just like here, like
we can't classify the United States because of the economy in Detroit.
Sure, right.
But this is what I mean when I talk about Africa. Mm-hmm. We went to an area called Arusha, okay, and even people with some, a little bit of stability financially, they all lack, basic needs that we have here, like dental care. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Their teeth were falling apart.
Wow. There's a lot of countries in Europe, too. I mean, when you... Can I get into...
Hold on. I want to hear this. Yeah.
So, but their love for people was humbling for us because we think we love people. Right. But over there, it was just different. And they pay attention to everything. They say hello, they look you in the eye. And then they say, they'll say, well, how are you? And they'll wait for you to respond. And then they'll wait for you to say, and how are you? And then, they respond. Then all of a sudden you're engaged. And we barely looked at our phones, Here in the United States, people say, how are you? And then they keep walking.
Of course.
They don't wait for you to say, I'm okay or I'm not okay. My mom passed away. I'm sick. Nobody really says, how are you? With the intention of stopping to hear what you have to say.
It's incredible that you say that. It's insane. It's incredible to really absorb how society has changed and how devices can be so impactful on our lives to where we actually lose the ability to communicate through people, whether it's via eye contact or just having a normal conversation.
Over there. They're a very, here in the United States, it's become a thing where personal space is so, important.
Right.
Yeah.
Over there, everybody hugs and kisses each other and human touch is important to them.
Interesting.
That's
incredible.
It is. Yeah. You know why? Because I think that this whole protection of your personal space also pushes people away.
100%.
And we need that. Right. We need somebody to say, are you okay? I mean, not like Drew Barrymore style where they're but we all need human touch.
Affection,
we need affection.
How does she do it?
You know what I'm talking about. Drew Barrymore is a little much, but we all need it.
Yeah, and it's incredible.
I'm gonna book a trip
Yeah.
Where is this? What city?
It's incredible that you say that, Carmen, too, because you're right. Here we are in a society now to where we have gone through so much change throughout the last couple of years to where,
Yeah.
if you accidentally touch somebody or
Oh, dude.
touch somebody's arm like that, there could be, sexual harassment.
Yes.
Lawsuits are coming up. People are getting fired. It's incredible hearing how things
Can't even
still are
give somebody a
normalized.
compliment.
Right.
You know, how their hair look or,
Yes.
or their blouse or whatever without actually being called in for sexual harassment.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
And especially as business owner and being in a new field, a new business, you really don't know what to expect.
No.
And especially for it coming from you, like you can't sit there if you're giving gratitude to an employee or something, you better not touch.
Right.
Hey, normally you want to pat somebody on the back and say, hey, good job,
I'm at the point where I don't even shake hands.
Yeah.
I will never stop being physical with people
Right.
in one way or another. Like, it's who I am. It's in my nature.
Right.
And unless someone tells me, like, they're uncomfortable, or I just know from their behavior that they don't care for human touch, I'm a hugger. I am like
it's
a
different from
person
an
who like
employer.
believes
Sure.
in that comfort that comes with like just like putting your hand on someone.
It's our nature of, it's how people act in the Dominican Republic. It's what we
I think Latinos overall are very much like that.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, actually. Yeah, I have several Latino friends, obviously, George. It's incredible hearing your experience and what that was like. And then, here we are faced with reality.
It's changed a lot in the last decade or two.
Yeah.
Well, I would tell you, just so that like I don't miss this, going to Africa and experiencing a real life safari, seeing, the mountains over there that we don't get to experience here. It really, even spiritually, it changes your way of thinking, because you read about how God is in control of everyone, from the animals to the people and to nature. But when you get to see it, how every animal knows their space and they don't cross to where they don't need to be.
That's interesting.
And they just know. If you're not a believer, you're like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
How does that work?
How did that impact you being in Africa and going on your first safari? And which animal actually impacted you most?
So I am a lover and admirer. Like, my favorite animal of life is the elephant.
Wow.
Huh.
It is.
Interesting.
The elephant is symbolic of strength and prosperity and like so many things. Just so many things. So I've always loved elephants. And we found the elephant.
Really?
Wow.
That's
When you
incredible.
say you found the elephant.
Well, because when you go into a safari, it's not like when you go to the zoo that they're like, if you go to section 2B, you're going to see snakes. And if you go to the third floor, you're going to see, like, it's not like that. They're in their own natural habitat.
Yeah.
So you have to drive around
Right.
to see where these animals are. And when we finally found the elephants, I'm like, I couldn't even speak, right?
Wow.
That's amazing.
And we see this enormous animal with the little baby next to him. And all of a sudden he moves. So we drove in like these Range Rovers that like,
Sure.
they're like they turn them off. And our guides are like, nobody speak.
Man, I'm visualizing this, and I
I have
really want
videos.
to
I'm gonna show
experience
you.
this. Right. Wow.
Could you imagine?
So you had to be quiet in order for the elephant to feel comfortable enough to cross. So he's like inching his way through, and then all of a sudden there he is, and he stands right in the middle. The baby comes and stands right next to him, and I have this amazing picture of the mom or dad elephant with the baby right next to him, like right behind, again, symbolic of like strength and protection and like just everything that I believe in and that I try to like strive to be. And I have this amazing picture, and then in the background, almost like right there, you see like the crater, because it's this huge crater. It goes around. You see part of it, you see the clouds, and then just clarity. And it's my absolute favorite moment and my favorite pictures. Wait till you see them from being in that safari. It was just like, you just stand there and you're just like, what do you even say? What do you say? Like, you don't get to see this.
Absorb
If you get out of your car and you walk up to this elephant, you don't know what could happen to you. And you are in their domain.
Right.
Like, this is their home.
You know, as I listen to this, Carmen, I'm sitting there thinking, like, in my mind, like, you went over there to make an impact, one way, shape, or form. But in reality, Carmen, it sounds like by you going over there made more of an impact to you or on you.
100%.
And it's incredible how it works, right? And is this symbol of God or something? You were meant to go over there for a purpose. And whether that was for self-conflict or reflection.
Well, we fed the children.
Like, yeah. Right. But again, like, so in reality, you went over there to help, but I guess in reality, you're the one that was helped your soul. And is that normal to say that?
100%. Yeah. Again, we went over there, right, to help these children in a very isolated, very poor area of Africa. And these children were just happy. They have nothing. And they're happy that here, this group of people from the United States care about them enough to be there and to feed them. When and this, I don't even want to cry, like, but the first day when we fed them, and these kids would come up with plates that they would bring from their home. A lot of them were like aluminum. Some of them didn't have one, and they would bring like a piece of paper for you to put the food in. That was scorching hot, by the way.
Sure.
I don't know that anyone who was part of that missions trip was able to like go through that without sobbing. And when I tell you I sobbed, I didn't cry. Like, I did the ugly cry. Yeah. For like a good 10 minutes till I was able to get myself together.
Right.
Enough to say, okay, I'll take my turn to feed them. And we were serving them, and we sat with them. They were dirty. They were smelly, but it didn't matter. Like, we hugged them. Sure, and we loved them, and we played with them. To see my pastor, right? Like, and this is a big testament of leadership. My pastor was there with us and with those kids playing, getting dirty, feeding them too, where usually when you see people in like leadership positions, they're like, we'll go and like oversee.
Sure, to delegate.
My pastors are not like that. They go and they get dirty with you, which reminds you that like we're all the same.
Yeah, that we are, huh?
What a great story. I just absorbing it, and you articulate it so well that I can kind of visualize it. And I do have to say this, Carmen. You didn't like sleep on the floor or anything. Like, where did you sleep?
We didn't. So that part. Okay, so it's almost embarrassing, right? Convoy of Hope really accommodates the people that go to do the work. Okay. So we stayed in a hotel.
Okay. Gotcha.
It wasn't like we went swimming in a pool or anything. Yeah. But there were gyms for the people who like to work out at 4:00 in the morning. And I only say that because you did say that you had a career in beauty. So here you are. I'm just visualizing. No,
it.
But that had nothing to do with the script. Like, I braided my hair.
I know.
Because my pastor was adamant. He was like, listen, if I tell you guys we're leaving in 15 minutes, everybody better be downstairs in 15 minutes. Like, I don't want to hear it. And we had like a 0 drama policy. So the girls who didn't braid their hairs, like, I braided their hair. while we were over there.
Really
And
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't wash my hair. Like I was up and going, and it wasn't about being pretty or impressing anybody. It was a very low maintenance time for women who like just
Sure.
went to serve.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And this was the first time that you've ever done something like this?
On a missions trip like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Awesome.
But I am definitely going again this year.
Really
I
cool.
believe we're going to Nicaragua.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. I know my daughter went to she did a trip like that several years back when through her church, and she had some incredible stories. And I don't know. I want to sign up. It makes me want to sign up to
And you
contribute
should.
to one way, shape, or form as well.
You should, if you,
Yeah.
and it sounds cliche, but like if you put God's business 1st, He's going to take care of your business.
Wow.
Because I can tell you, November was the biggest month I've had in the entire year
Wow.
of real estate. I had the most closings that month. And I was so stressed, and I'm praying about it. And, I was like, making sure that we were going to have Wi-Fi and that we were going to do this and that. And I remember as we got closer to the trip, my pastor says to me, Carmen, if you're just going to go over there to work, then you're taking away from the experience and the reason why you're going. Like, we're going over there to serve.
Wow. Well said.
And that sort of like put things into perspective for me, right? So instead of focusing on how I was going to get work done over there, I was like, how do I utilize what I have? I have an amazing team. Let me prepare them. Let me see what they can do. And can I tell you, not one delay in any of those closings. The majority of my closings, I had like 7 of them in November. And the majority of them happened before I left and when I came back. I think 1 closed while I was away.
Interesting.
1. And everything went smoothly.
That's
Like,
awesome.
I made it my business to be very present during this time that I could serve other people. And not only was I blessed spiritually, but financially, professionally, like God took care of my business.
Overall, it was a great experience. We mentioned in a society to where everybody has an opinion nowadays. That's just where we are. We're in the social media era. Everybody has an opinion, and the fact that you're a strong woman that wears your religion on your sleeve proudly. How do your kids perceive all of this? They have a professional mother who's made a drastic career move recently. She's very engaged in the community. She's very engaged with her religion. I mean, how are they absorbing it? Are they going on this journey with you? I'm curious to see how it's all working out with your children. And again, being teenagers, how are they receiving everything?
I mean, I hope that soon they can verbalize, right, how proud they are of me. It's hard for them.
Sure.
It's hard for them, for both of them in different ways. For my daughter, it's really hard being a young lady, a young woman, and having a mom who does so much and not feeling like she needs to somehow do more, keep up, and it's never a competition. But with women, we have that competitive spirit in us.
Right.
So I know that even though she doesn't say it, a lot of the reasons why at times she stays away from me is because there's a lot of pressure for her as a young woman.
Yes.
To keep up, because
Yeah.
I do a lot.
Yeah.
And I push myself beyond my own limits.
Sure.
Even, if it's to test myself, and when I don't want to, I'm like, just to see if I can,
Yeah.
I'm going to test myself. And not everybody's like that.
Uh-huh.
And that's okay, but it's hard for my kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard for my kids at times, to go out for a brunch at the Shelby. And as soon as, we walk in, everybody's like, Carmen. And,
Yeah.
they're like, this is so annoying, To them, it's more annoying than anything else.
Yeah.
But then, they see me do other things. Like, I was nominated for Visionary of the Year. They saw me kill myself to raise, almost $50,000 without a team in 10 weeks. And they're like, wow,
Huh.
like, that's awesome.
Mom's really making a difference.
Yeah. When their friends see, say, oh, I saw your mom on TV, or, your mom is, they're like, oh.
What I can say, Carmen, is if it doesn't feel like they're giving you the support or love or recognition now, it's because they are teenagers, but they will carry what you're doing. They're absorbing it. And I can say that as a father of 4. They're absorbing everything you do, and although you might not realize it, down the line, you'll see the fruits of your hard labor, and the fruits of your labor are going to shine incredibly through those kids. And I could, I see it, and I hear about the passion through your voice.
They observe and absorb.
Absorb, yeah,
Doing,
yeah. In a couple of years, you're going to see everything it's going to be a full circle. So.
We all go through our own like growth patterns, right? Like even as adults, we don't stop learning and we don't stop evolving and understanding things. And I went through a short period of time where like I would be hurt and I almost felt discouraged at times because I'm like, everything that I'm doing for them. And they don't care. They don't appreciate me. Like, how does everybody else, like even their own friends, look at me and they're like, your mom is awesome. And my kids are like, eh.
They're being kids.
And now I'm like, I understand that there's a time and a place for everything. And this isn't really the time for them to view me as a human. I'm still mom.
Just mom, right.
I'm just mom.
And you're cool with that.
and we have a great relationship.
Sure.
But they don't see it yet. But even, the way that I've prepared for their future in a way that like my parents never did anything for us, but like I've acquired a bunch of properties and I've like, I'm preparing so that they don't have to struggle the way that I struggled. Yeah. And so that hopefully their own children, so that when they're old enough, what I've worked for, they can not just appreciate it, but say, we're going to take care of this so that then our kids will be taken care of the way that we are because she did it for us.
Right. So. Very cool. You mentioned, Carmen, that so you're in a new career. You're going on 13, 14, 15, 16 months, a year and a half into a new career.
Yeah.
To where you literally clipped your wings, let the old career go, and literally walk into a new career. You have some experience under your belt now. What advice would you give to another woman that's thinking about doing the same thing that you just did?
Number one, don't focus on the wrong things.
Okay.
Your age is not a factor. If you're alive and breathing, you can do it. Being a single mom is not a factor. I live by the motto of do it afraid. We're always going to be scared. And there's always a reason why you shouldn't. But there's always a reason why you can. So don't wait until you're ready, because we're never ready. We're never ready for anything. You're never ready to have a baby.
Right.
You're never ready to buy a home.
Right.
You're never ready to like start a new career and leave your comfort behind.
Yeah.
Don't do it when you're ready. Do it now.
Right.
I read a lot of books, and there's this book about the 5-second rule, where when you think about doing something, you have 5 seconds to act, and you're gonna get it done. If you wait longer than that, chances are you're gonna sidetrack, you're gonna deviate, and you're gonna push it off. But if you're thinking that you can do it, then you can. That's all that you really need. You don't need to wait till you have enough money. The money will come. You don't need to wait. If you have the power, the health, the desire, and the drive to do it, that's all that you need. Everything else will fall into place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great advice.
100%. And the fact, you threw in a single mother, you threw a lot in there. And obviously a lot of that's from your own personal experiences. And that's, hopefully that reaches out to somebody out there and, that's struggling and asking themselves the questions of why, and how. I think a lot of people don't realize that when your back is against a wall, you just got to do it. And if you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it, right? Because we live in such a competitive space and a market space, whatever industry you're in. Somebody always wants to beat you out. And it's so competitive out there. And if you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. So I think ultimately you just have to have that drive and that passion, like you said.
And you know what, though, Jesse? Like, I've defied different odds, not just professionally, where I don't believe in, I'm not one of those people who talks about their trials when I'm going through them. I like to talk about it when I overcome them, because then you have a story, right? I'm not a big, I don't like for people to feel bad for me. I like to defy the odds, make it, and then say, let me tell you what I went through before I got here, so that I can encourage someone that if I could do it, they could do it too. And when I said, don't focus on the wrong things, we're always, whenever we have a big move to make, big decisions to make, we always look at, oh, well, I don't have the degree. Oh, well, I don't have the experience. Oh, well, I don't know the people.
Right.
I don't have this. I don't have that. I don't have the other.
Yeah.
I think it's human nature to focus on why we can't,
Yeah.
And for me, listen, I was a divorced mom with 2 little kids who had a house foreclosed. And within 3 years, I was in a brand new career that had nothing to do with what I did. And I built my home from the ground up. And then 2 years later, I had acquired another 2 homes, for my future, for my children's future. And I had every reason to not be in that position.
Sure.
It was just, I decided that I was going to do it. It wasn't about having all the resources.
Yeah.
I did it afraid. And I am where I am because I never let fear keep me stagnant.
Well said. And I'm sure the obstacles were there.
Absolutely.
The failures were there. I think that's just a part of it. And
Sleepless nights. Cried.
Yeah.
Got depressed.
And then again, just wrapping it all, and then having the kids too, and kids misbehave, and on top of a professional life, you're doing it, Carmen. You're doing it.
But it's not just me, because there are other people who have seen me, who have known me, and who have seen me defy odds. And because of that, and not to say that it was because of me, right? But I have inspired other people. And for me, it's all worth it just for that.
Right.
Just because there are other moms who would call me and say, oh my God, I have always wanted to build my own home and I didn't know how. Can you show me? And I'm like, absolutely. I have plenty of friends who now have bigger, better, brand new homes that they built because they came to me. And I'm not selfish enough to say, well, you're just trying to get that because you see that I have it.
Sure.
Like, are you just trying to be like, there's room for everyone.
Yeah.
God has something for all of us. And if he's given me what he's given me is only so that I can pay it forward. So if your house is going to be better because you have the money, because you can sustain it, then amen. I'll give you the tools that I have.
Awesome.
And you do whatever you're going to do with them. There's other people who are like, I was too scared to check my credit so that I can fix it and see if I could get a home. And as soon as I looked at it, because I told them, if you don't confront it, you can't correct it. And now they're homeowners, so many different people in my life that I could tell you that I didn't think that I was having an impact until I knew, because they were like, you helped me get through that.
Interesting. Very cool.
So you have your 3 houses now. Do you have any other product? Any other?
No, I have 4. And my first flip, that's like sucking the life out of me. Yeah. But it's what I said. I don't talk about the trial while I'm in it.
Yeah. Right.
I talk about the success story when it's done. So when this project is complete, I will tell everyone about why I am not meant to flip homes. Yeah. Even though it's a lot of fun, like. Aesthetically, I can't say that word.
Aesthetically, yeah.
So putting it together is fun, but I don't think that I'll do it again anytime soon. I won't say never.
Right, of course.
Right, because then you never know.
Say never. Goonies never say die.
But it's not. It's not what I enjoy in real estate.
Sure, sitting in a back seat, kind of knowing the both of you, one thing I see that you guys definitely have in common, obviously outside of your drive and passion for your respective industries, is networking. Like you both have an amazing network source of people around both of you. Like you say it loud and proud that you've accomplished your things in life because of the people around you. Your sister and your friends and friends in high places and vice versa, George. Like you've gotten to where you got to because of people around you and that are helping you guys make major decisions, right? I think in today's society, our younger generation isn't good at making those connections with people.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it has to do with social media because, they grew up in social media.
Right.
We grew up, we didn't have cell phones when we were younger. So they don't feel like the need to make those connections to where you two are obviously doing it. I think I'm a big proponent of networking. I think it's important to get out there and engage with your community and other professionals and like-minded people. So I commend both of you for doing that, and it's really good seeing that. And again, I'm glad that the three of us are sitting here having this conversation because hopefully someone out there that's listening can say, all right, maybe I should go to some sort of meeting. And networking doesn't have to be at a professional event. It could be in church. It could be in another community center or there's so many different various aspects to where you can go out there and engage with people. So definitely
mentoring
recommend
lost
that.
its essence. As years went by, people like generations. I remember, growing up and being in church and hanging out with older people.
Yeah.
Who inspired me.
Yes.
Who I would look up to and I would say, oh my God, like when I'm older, like I want to be like that. This generation, our children, the teenagers now, the even younger, they don't get that. There's no such thing as doing an internship during the summer at 13 and 14 years old. Remember that? Like I've proposed so many times for like the chamber, which we're both board members. Like I've had conversations where I'm like, we need to create some sort of program where like we are doing, some sort of like partnership with the schools and that we can mentor the kids during the summer.
Yes.
Whether it's within the field that they're considering. But now, I mean, my 16-year-old is an athlete. And all he knows is that he wants to go to college because he wants to play football. But if you ask him what he wants to be, what he wants to do, he doesn't know. And back when we were young.
Okay at 16, though.
Back when I was young, let me tell you, in the 5th grade, I knew I wanted to be a doctor.
Right.
But why? Okay. Because my mom was a nurse, my aunt was a doctor, and I had all these people that they were professionals, and I was like, that's who I like, what I want to be. Now, kids are not really even paying attention to anyone in their career. Right. All they know is social media.
I know my son is going to be 27, and he's pretty much just clueless. He's waiting for that opportunity to fall in his lap. He's a dreamer, and he wants to do this, he wants to do that, and again, that's okay. But he's certainly waiting for that opportunity as opposed to chasing an opportunity. Right. So.
Isn't it crazy? I think like for our generation, and I don't know how much older or younger. I'm assuming that we're all within like late 70s, 80s, right?
Yeah.
For us, if you asked the majority of the kids when we were in like the 5th, 6th grade and above, we all wanted to either be a doctor, a lawyer,
a police officer,
some sort of like police or a teacher, right?
Yeah.
Those were probably the top 4.
Exactly.
If you ask now, they're like, I want to be a TikToker. Or I want to be an influencer.
Skateboarder.
What is an influencer?
Yes.
I'm like, who are you influencing?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't even know who you are. Who are you going to influence?
You're exactly right, Carmen.
They all want to be TikTokers.
That is incredible.
Where were you at the age of 25, 26 in life?
Me personally, I was starting a business. I was 2 years into a business, and but I had to make things work. I was a young single dad.
Right.
I had to do it.
That's what I thought. You already had a son.
Correct.
Yeah.
I had to do it. So, but now, Carmen, so if you could go back, we went over a lot here. So if you could go back into time, and there's a young 18-year-old Carmen sitting there, what advice would you give her, or actually, is there anything you would change moving forward from back then?
So if I could give her, young 18-year-old Carmen some advice, I would say, be kinder to yourself.
Okay.
That would be number one. I was very hard on myself. And I would have probably told her that it's okay for her to follow her dreams. Because who I am now is not who I thought I was going to be.
Right.
At all. Would I change it? No.
Okay.
I love exactly who I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I love where I am now, even at this age. And I try to learn as much as possible. I never want to be in a place where, like, I feel like that's it. This is where I'm meant to be. Nobody can tell me anything, because then growing stops.
Right.
But every single trial, every single difficult situation, every good situation has shaped me into who I am now. So if I could go back, the only thing that I would tell myself is to be gentler, kinder to me, because we're going to make it.
Yeah.
We're going to be okay.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Really good to hear. It's been a great episode, Carmen. I admire the fact that the two of you, that I know you, I consider you both friends. You're both great professionals that I look up to. I see what you're doing for the Hispanic community. I admire that. I think you guys are so deep into your inspiration. Like you're really out there trying to make a difference, and you're being the voice for the community, and you're engaged in the community. I love seeing it. I wish there was more of it out there. I wish I had more friends like you guys. You guys are really doing some awesome stuff,
Jesse.
man. No, I'm glad to call you guys friends. Again, I admire what you both are doing. You're both awesome professionals, and we've all made that leap into a new career later in life, and we're all doing it. Collectively, we're all doing it in our own way. So, and it's good to know other people that are making these decisions, these life-changing decisions. A single mother, I admire that, and the advice that you're giving to other single mothers. Hopefully that really touches somebody, and they can listen to you and maybe perhaps reach out to you as well. George, you're doing it, brother. I'm always a big fan of you.
I'm a huge fan of you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep rocking and rolling. Yeah. So, Carmen,
You're an inspiration to many.
you had mentioned, so you're now doing mortgages, right?
I'm a lender.
So we'll certainly put your contact information up here.
Okay.
For anybody out there, if you're looking to purchase or this is the circle. This is the only circle you need right here.
Refinance whenever we
Yeah,
go down.
refinance. Yeah, this is literally it. This is all you need is this segment right here. We'll put Carmen's contact information right here. George's will be right below it. George is going to be your title guy. Carmen will get that loan for you. And really, this is the only contact you need to make. They have realtor friends.
No, we don't.
And again, man, guys, thank you so much for being here. Carmen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
George, until
Thanks
next
for allowing us
time.
to be a part
Yep.
of this. Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate both of you guys. Thank you so much.
You're amazing.
Many blessings
Thank
to
you.
you all.
Worky Wednesdays checking out, guys. Thanks for joining.